Some bad news from that end of the world. It's expected to harvest its smallest amount of wine grapes in nearly 15 years. That's according to a report compiled by a non-profit firm that represents 2,500 members of South Africa's wine industry. Vinpro's report attributes the dwindling wine production numbers to dry conditions and fluctuating weather. CGTN's Rene has the details.
The worst drought in over 100 years in South Africa's wine-growing region has led to a dry 2019 grape-producing season.
It all began last year at the end of harvest. The conditions were very dry, and that is actually very important for a vineyard to build up its reserves for the next year. So this year we had vineyards that had a lot more growth. It looked better, but there was less bunches. So the impact was still like a knock-on effect from the previous year.
Besides the drought, extreme cold and financial constraints also contributed to the small wine harvest of 2019.
One of the other factors is that the area under vineyard, or the amount of vineyard planted, have decreased in the last decade because of financial restraints and low returns. Producers have taken out vineyards and planted other crops like citrus.
Although South African wine exports are expected to decline this year, certain target markets won't be too hard hit.
The main market for our exports are still the United Kingdom, but when we look at our focus for the period up until 2025, we are looking at the USA, at China and Africa. So we exported about 10 million litres last year to China. Because it's a specific focus for the South African wine industry, we do foresee that, that there will be a specific focus on that and that it could possibly increase for this year.
And the experts say this year's low harvest in the South African wine industry means that the price of the country's wines will go up.
We are definitely going to see an upward pressure on prices to continue. And what we're seeing this year is that there is a specific pressure on certain categories, for example, certain varieties like Chardonnay, Merlot and Cabernet Sauvignon on the premium end of the market, as well as certain price categories within the bulk wine sector.
But wine experts insist that the quality of the 2019 vintage remains superior.
Although it was a very small harvest, we're still positive about the quality because we had small berries, which caused the small harvest, but that concentrates the flavor. So we're very positive about the quality.
Rene, CGTN, Paarl, near Cape Town, South Africa.